Hello and welcome to the latest edition of New Haven Independent Vlog News Summary, direct from our newsroom, otherwise known as my compost heap. Let's see what stories we're working on this week. We got a light bulb in here, which raises the question, how many assistant chiefs do you need in a police department to screw in a light bulb? According to New Haven, you need 4. That's each paid $93,000 a year. That's the latest provisional approval that came in this week for the latest idea of how to fix our corruption-plagued police department. Why? Well, for one thing, people were doing a bad job running the department, people felt, and that the assistant chiefs we had obviously aren't considered ready to become chiefs. So instead of getting better assistant chiefs, you want 4 assistant chiefs instead of 2. These new people are supposed to oversee internal affairs, the Investigative Services Bureau, and cut down on overtime. So again, we're paying too much overtime, at least 30 cops making over $100,000 a year. So let's get 4 bureaucrats or top managers instead of 2 to figure out how to spend less money on overtime. If that's what we need to do, forget it. The jig is up. Now, Hill Alderman, George Perez, when he was dissenting to this decision this week, he pointed out that when the department ran well in the 90s, you had one chief who was doing a good job and an assistant chief, Dean Esserman, who was doing a good job. You didn't need 4 of him to keep costs down or to make sure that there were values, internal values and ethics, they call it, when you're doing internal affairs. So if we're going to fix the department, it's not spending more money for more managers who may or may not be good. It's getting good people, and 2 is even a lot. What other stories are we working on? We got our John DeStefano lunchbox. The Advocate made these years ago. I used to give my kids their lunches in this when they were little. Let's see what's in here. Now, I got the sense these days, if you pull a moldy sandwich out of a lunchbox in New Haven, somebody's going to blame John DeStefano, the mayor, and say he's a crummy mayor and a crummy guy because I got a moldy sandwich in my lunchbox. Now, what do I mean by that? He's the mayor, and of course he should have his feet held to the fire. We try to do that in the Independent. A lot of our commenters try to do that. We have a budget season starting now, and I feel the debate sometimes gets to the point where he gets blamed for everything. And there's some big issues he doesn't have control over, and some he does who want to do a good job. But I feel like the name-calling and the blaming him for everything removes credibility from the whole process of holding people accountable. Because look, this guy starts work at 6:30 every morning. He often works late into the night. His entire adult life he's given to New Haven. Again, we sometimes disagree with him. You might think he maybe shouldn't be the mayor. But among the stuff that might make you crazy, he has spent every day caring about making a better city, and that is his first priority. Again, I say that as someone who often disagrees with him. So maybe as a new season starts here, we can try to be more constructive in our criticism, acknowledge when he does something well. If he does something that you disagree with, it's not because he's the worst guy and he's responsible for every crusty sandwich or stale bread. That said, what he was thinking when he spent $3,450 of taxpayer money to replace a coat hanger in the mayor's office, well, that's for another day. I got a letter here from my friends at Anthem, the HMO. Turns out they made a mistake. My family, even though we're paying half of a year's salary just to have health insurance, we were getting too good a plan from them because some bureaucrat there made a mistake. So we were paying $15 copay. We went to the office visit, but I guess you have to pay $8 zillion a year in insurance to get that great a deal. And I should have been paying $30. They wrote me and they said, don't worry, we fixed it up. Dear Paul Ross, R-O-S-S, at Central Avenue. That's not my name. But they wrote me to say, Dear Mr. Ross, we fixed the problem, no problem, everything's great, Anthem's got it under control. You know, as we talk about health insurance and how it's completely broken, why in this country when we debate it, there's this assumption that the Anthems, the greedy companies that do such a lousy job and suck so much profit out of the system, why we think they're somehow more efficient and they spend the money better and they should be part of any solution is beyond me. Maybe because they have lots of assistant chiefs. Until next time, this is the New Haven Independent Vlog, and remember, always pick up your trash.